Is your hat here? Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, here we go. So we started learning the halachis of Shabbos Aveda, and I pray that we continue that today because it was fairly simple. What is it that we do? I should put like a banner in the like won't be able to take questions while looking at the screen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nehiyah b'dvaro. Okay. You start or I start? You go.
Chapter 13. Halacha Aleph. When a person finds a lost object and is obligated to return, he is obligated to announce its discovery and make it known, saying, "Whoever lost this type of article should come, identify with samanim, and take it." Even if the article was worth a pruta at the time of its discovery, but depreciated in value and went down in value, the finder is required to announce its discovery. There is a large stone outside Yerushalayim on which announcements would be made. Halacha Beis. How is an announcement made? If a person discovered money, he announces whoever lost coins should come. Similarly, he announces whoever lost a garment, an animal, or promissory notes should come. Identify them with marks with samanim and collect them. He need not worry because he mentioned the type of object that was discovered, for he will not return it until it is identified with distinctive marks. That's what they call pashtuvilim, I think.
Meaning, like the announcement. Right, like you always see in 770, like if someone lost a pair of AirPods, right, so the simon isn't, I lost, is that my phone? The simon isn't, I lost AirPods, the simon is whatever, where they were, or... I'm able to answer him. Let's do that too. Okay. I think he's calling me because he's watching this, but can't take it now. Okay, Gimel. If the owner of the lost object came and identified it with marks, or he's watching on the camera, Zavaliya, because he's a rabbi here. If the owner of the lost object came and identified it with marks that are not distinctive, it should not be returned to him until he identifies it with distinctive marks. When a person is known as Ray, can't just come and say, I lost AirPods in 770. Where did you lose it, or what color was the case, or whatever. When a person is known as a deceiver, a lost article should not be returned to him, even if he identifies it with distinctive marks. He must bring witnesses who testify that the article is his. Our Chachamim said that the pasuk in Devarim that says, that you should keep the Aveda until your brother comes seeking it, is ad shetachkar acharav imramei hu imlav. Meaning, you should also seek into him, look into him, and see if he's a cheater or a trickster. If he is, like Lavan, who we learn about today, being a real scumbag, then you don't return it to him. Da'ali barishayna, first, kol mishabdalei aveda, anyone who would lose an object, and would come and give any type of siman. That's the way it worked. You would return it to him unless you knew he had qualities like Lavan. But when many of those people increased, you have to bring witnesses that can verify your trustworthiness, and then bring a siman, and then you'll be able to keep it. Hey.
Halacha Hey. Distinctive marks are relied upon and used as the basis for court rulings in all matters according to the Torah Mid'Araisa. An object's measure weight is its number or the place where it was lost are considered distinctive marks. Halacha Vav.
Yeah.
If two people come with and both identify the article by its marks in the same manner, the article should not be given to either of them. Instead, it should remain in the finder's possession until one of them acknowledges his colleague's claim or they arrive at a compromise. If one of them identifies the article by marks and the other brings witnesses who would testify that this article is his, the article is given to the one who brought witnesses. If both claimants identify the article with marks and one brings one witness to support his claim, the presence of the witness is not considered of consequence and the article should remain in the finder's possession.
Okay, Zayin, Kol Shvin Chavivin. If a person finds a dress or an article of that nature and there are two people claiming that it belongs to them, one brings witnesses who testify that it was woven for him and one brings witnesses who testify that it was lost from him, it fell from his possession. It should be given to the one whose witnesses testify that they saw the article fall. If one identifies it by stating its length and the other identifies it by stating its width, it should be given to the one who stated its length, for it's possible for a deceiver to deduce its width by watching the owner when wearing it. Interesting. Why can't you deduce its length? I guess it's harder. If one identifies it by stating its length and its width, and the other one identifies it by stating its weight, it should be given to the one who identifies it by saying its weight. If one identifies it by stating its length and width, and the other identifies it by stating the measure of its fringes, it should be given to the one who stated its length and width. All right. Ches. Halacha 8, chapter 13. Originally, whoever would find a lost object would announce its discovery 3 times a year at the 3 Yom Tovim, the regalim. On the first festival, he would say that he was making this announcement for the first time. On the second festival, he would say, going twice, right? It was the second time. And on the third festival, he would announce the discovery of the article without mentioning the number of times, because a listener might hear incorrectly and confuse the second announcement with the third. Yeah, might hear incorrectly and confuse the second announcement with the third. After the third Chag, he should wait 7 days and make a fourth announcement. Interesting. This provision enabled the person who heard to travel home in 3 days, check his household articles, and return in 3 days. Thus, he could meet the person when he made the fourth announcement on the 7 days. On the 7th day. So, first regal, second regal, third one, but he doesn't announce that it's the third time. I guess because maybe a person would... I don't understand that. If you were to announce that it's the third time, maybe someone would think it's the second, so I'm better off not announcing. What does that mean? But then he does it a fourth time after. He waits 7 days and then makes a fourth announcement. And those 7 days basically is supposed to be giving time for the person to go home and see if he lost it. Okay. That's originally, right? So, but then what happened?
Halacha 9. When the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, the Chachamim ordained that announcements should be made in shuls and Bati Midrashim, synagogues and study halls. When there was an increase in the number of men of violence who say all lost objects belong to the king, Chacham ordained that announcements should be made discreetly to one's neighbors and associates, and that is sufficient. Halacha 10. If an announcement or notification was made and the owner did not come to claim and the discovered object, it should remain in the possession of the finder till Elio and Navi comes. If it's lost or stolen while it's in the finder's possession, he is responsible for it.
Oh, wow.
If it's destroyed by force beyond his control, he is not liable. Rationale is that a person who cares for a lost object is considered a paid watchman, for he is involved in performance of a mitzvah and as such is free from the obligation to perform several positive commandments as long as he is occupied with guarding it.
He's considered a shomer sachar. What's his schar? The schar is that he doesn't have to go do other mitzvahs because he's busy doing this one. I'm busy guarding my friend's object. That's so interesting. Wow. Okay. One second, but why was there? Okay. Let's talk. Yud Aleph. The finder must pay attention to the lost article and inspect it so that it will not become spoiled and ruined over the course of time. This may be inferred from Deuteronomy 22:2, which states, "And you shall return it to him." Implied is that one must see to it that the article will in fact be returned intact. What is implied? If one finds a woolen garment, one should shake it out every 30 days, right? You don't want dust or whatever collecting or it gets ruined. He should not shake it out using a staff, nor with two people, because then it could rip. He may spread it out on a couch for its own benefit, but not for its benefit and his benefit. Let's say he has guests coming and he wants to make the couch look nicer or whatever. If guests visit him, he should not spread it out in their presence, even for its own benefit. Why? Because the risk is that it might be stolen. If one finds wooden utensils, how do you take care of them? He should use them so that they don't rot. If he finds copper utensils, he should use them for hot substances, but you should not expose them to fire directly because then they become warm. Silver, that's funny. I was looking into like different like cookware, and apparently copper is very good. Like, and it lasts a long time, and it's like better, like health-wise than like the non-stick stuff. Interesting. I wonder what it means that it becomes warm, or maybe that it looks more. I don't know. Silver utensils should be used only for cold, but not for hot, because they become discolored. I don't know, my silver becomes discolored regardless. If one finds rakes or hatchets, one should use them, just my buffer actually. It's only the silver that I use. The silver that my wife uses looks like it's brand new. Silver that I use is suddenly like, I don't know. If one finds rakes or hatchets, one should use them right. I could just polish it. If one finds rakes or hatchets, one should use them with soft substances, so that way it actually it doesn't rust and it stays used and sharp, but not with hard ones, because then you might actually overuse it and its value might deteriorate. If one finds golden utensils, glass utensils, or linen garments, one should not touch them until Eliyahu Hanavi arrives, because those things are way too fine and delicate. Same principles that apply to a lost object, which one discovered, apply to an entrusted object whose owner undertook a long journey. This is like in watches, by the way, like the yellow gold watches, like just from like people want to come and try it on and whatever, but and obviously that's how you run a business, and you allow that if it's a trustworthy person. But like literally just by handling it, it's something called handling marks. That like a watch will be brand new, but it looks like
once you touch it.
Yeah, like literally gold is so delicate that like just from using it, just from like taking it out of the box, putting it back in the box. Yeah, but even then, like still, just like just the taking it out is already like it has marking.
13.
Yeah.
If he finds scrolls, he should read them once in 30 days. If he does not know how to read, he should roll them every 30 days. One should never study a subject for the first time from the scrolls, nor should one read a passage and repeat it or translate it. One should not open the scroll more than 3 columns wide. 2 people should not read 2 different subjects from the same scroll, lest each pull it to himself and ruin the scroll. 2 people may, however, read the same subject. 3 people may not read from the same scroll, however, even if they are reading about the same subject.
So, like, tedious.
Precise.
Yeah.
14. If one finds tefillin, he may have their value appraised and don them, put them on. Rationale is that tefillin are commonplace articles possessed by everyone, and the purpose is only for the sake of fulfillment of the mitzvah.
So literally he could use them.
Yeah, it's a thing. If you don't have tefillin, you see a pair of tefillin, you're allowed to put them on without permission. Apparently.
Right, because the point is it's not a piece of art like it is in the Quran. It's not like it has a specific value in and of itself. There's art to the craft of making tefillin, but that's the point is the mitzvah. You learned today's Tanya?
Yeah.
Like it's very powerful. It really makes you appreciate like a physical mitzvah in this world. Yeah, so the point of the tefillin is the mitzvah, so you can use them. You have them appraised, so this way you know what the value is for the, to be returned, but you can use it. Following rules apply if a person finds a living being that must be fed. Right? I find a horse. If the found object may be used to earn money, although it eats, for example, a cow or a donkey, the finder should care for them for 12 months from the day of their discovery, should hire them out and feed them. If the rental he receives for their hire exceeds the cost of their food, so the additional amount belongs to the owner. Basically, you're running a business on behalf of someone else with their animal. Similarly, if one finds chickens, one should sell their eggs and feed them for 12 months. From this time onward, one should have their value assessed. They're considered belonging in partnership to the finder and the owner, because otherwise, you're running a business on behalf of someone for free. Right? I'll lose all my stuff so somebody else can find it and take care of it. The arrangement is governed by the laws applying to one who raises livestock for a kali. Right? So that's basically the finder receives half of the increase in value as payment for his efforts. Right, the famous story of Hanina ben Daisa, how he once found like a chicken or 2 chickens it was, and basically he ended up eventually like the guy who once upon a time lost chickens met Reb Hanina ben Daisa, and Reb Hanina ben Daisa like gives this guy like tons of goats and whatever, because he was just like, he turned the 2 chickens into like a goat, a herd of goats, sorry. Good. If one finds calves or ponies that pasture, he should care for them for 3 months. So that's not just like a cow or a donkey which you feed it, but these things pasture, like they're just, I believe that means that they're basically eating all day. So you care for them for less. It's for 3 months. If he finds beasts that must be fed, he should care for them for 30 days. If he finds younger fowl and any other live being whose care is for sure.
Large geese or roosters.
Oh yeah, I skipped that. If he finds large geese or roosters, he should care for them for 30 days. If he finds younger fowl and any other live being whose care is more costly than the wage that can be earned with it, he should care for them for 3 days, and afterwards he should sell them in the presence of a court. If you flip this over, it would probably.
I've tried. Don't worry.
No, not like that. I'm saying. Oh, it's on top. Can you? I can use it.
Yud Zayin. What should be done with the money of the sale? What are we talking about?
After you sell, you found animals that are too difficult to take care of for so long, and they don't make you money or the owner money, so you could sell them in the presence of the court, right? So, I didn't even finish.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Similarly, if produce has begun to rot or other similar things occurred on a lost object, it should be sold in the presence of a court. But now, what do you do with the money?
What should be done with the money from the sale? It should be given to the finder. He has permission to use it as a loan. Therefore, if the money is lost by forces beyond his control, it was plundered by an attacking force or sank in the sea, he is chayav for its repayment, even if he never made use of it. Since he had permission to use it, it's as if he borrowed it.
So he has a den of a shayal, and even by an inus, he needs to be responsible.
Which funds may a finder make use of? The money received for the sale of a lost object. Since he cared for the object, he is given this privilege. However, a person finds money, he should not make use of it. Therefore, if it's lost because of forces beyond his control, he is not chayav, for he is considered a paid watchman, as we explained above.
You might think you're doing your friend a favor by investing lost money in Bitcoin, but really you're just not supposed to touch it. During the entire time in which the finder cares for the lost animal before selling it in court. If he feeds it from his own resources, he must be reimbursed by the owner. It appears to me that he is entitled to collect this sum without supporting his claim with an oath. This is a decree ordained for the benefit of society, because otherwise I would just ignore things, right? So the point is that I'm supposed to go and take it and hope to find the owner eventually and take care of it. When a person finds a lost object, he is not required to take an oath, meaning if the original owner claims that the lost article wasn't returned to him, the finder doesn't need to take an oath and say, what do you mean, I did return it? This is a decree ordained for the benefit of society, because if we would make people need to do that, then they would never want to deal with, they'd see the lost thing and just leave it. For if the finder of a lost article were required to take an oath, he would ignore the lost article and proceed on his way, so that he would not be required to take the oath. Even if a person found a wallet, and the owner of the wallet claimed that there was another wallet tied together with it, and it's impossible to find one without finding the other, so for sure the finder found it, the finder is not required to take an oath. Parak Yadalit.
Rabbi, I only booked in class today, because I'm doing Wati.
What is that?
It's only Zamanin's class today.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it says in the Pasuk in Devarim, Talavidas Haficha, do not watch your brother's ox
What?
or sheep go astray and ignore him. Return them to him. This is what must be done. This is what you must do to this donkey and to his garment and to all lost articles that your brother will lose and you will find. The garment is included in the general category of all lost articles that your brother will lose, as is an ox, a sheep and a donkey. Why then does the donkey, the Torah mention a donkey individually? The teach that it should be returned when there is a simon and mark, identifying mark on its cushion and not on the donkey itself. Although the mark is on a matter of secondary importance, it should be returned. Why does the Torah mention an ox and a sheep individually? To teach that the shearings of a sheep and even the shearings of the tail of an ox, which is an insubstantial matter, must be returned. Why does the Torah mention the garment individually? To teach a following concept. A garment is unique that it has marks by which it could be identified, and when we presume that its owner would seek its recovery, and we presume that the owner would seek its recovery, it thus becomes a paradigm, and any article that has marks and has owners who seek its recovery must be returned. However, a lost article no longer has owners who seek it, for they have despaired of its recovery. It belongs to its finder, even if it has marks by which it can be identified. Halacha Beis.
I'm having memories of 5th grade learning Elam and Tzivs. You learned that in 5th grade?
I learned that, I don't remember what. This principle must be followed with regard to a lost article. Whenever an article does not have a mark by which it can be identified, meaning one's nail or needle, as soon as the owner knew that it was lost, we presume that the owner despaired of its recovery, for they cannot provide a siman by which it can be identified and return it to them. Therefore, it belongs to the finder.
When by contrast an article has a mark by which it can be identified, for example a garment or an animal, we presume that the owners have not despaired of its recovery, for they think that they will be able to identify it by its marks and it will be returned to them. For this reason, a person who finds it is obligated to announce its discovery unless he knows that the owners have despaired of its recovery. For example, he heard them saying how terrible a loss. That's interesting. Because if they're saying that, you know exactly who owns it. But I guess we're saying on a purely technical level, if that's what if they're giving up, then it could belong to him. But obviously, based on what we learned yesterday, like the best thing to do is obviously return it. Or if he says that, or other things that indicate that they despaired of its return. In such an instance, the lost article belongs to its finder. Similarly, if a person finds an article that has a mark by which it can be identified in the sea, in a river, or the like, or in a place where the majority of people are Gentiles, he may presume that its owners despaired of its recovery at the time that it fell. It therefore belongs to the finder, even though he has not heard that the owner has despaired of its recovery. So something without a siman, chances are he has despaired, because he has no way of identifying. And something even with simonim that's lost in a place where chances are it won't be found, or the person who will find it doesn't have any obligation to return it to him, then we can also assume that the person despaired. So you find, I don't know, you find some, let's say AirPods, and it's an easy one that people lose. You find some AirPods in Six Flags on a random Wednesday, then you probably don't need to go and announce it.
For sure.
But you find it on Chol Hamoed Sukkos, chances are the majority of the people in there are Yidden. And you should get on all those WhatsApp groups.
Or Orlando during Yeshiva week.
Right, exactly.
Hey, when the owner of an article does not know of its loss, he is not considered to have despair of its recovery.
I don't know if that's, sorry to interrupt you, I don't know if that's a good example, because places like Six Flags have like a return, lost and found, and overall I think people are good people, so like people don't despair, you know, like thinking like I would go to the lost and found and say, did anybody report finding? So that's probably, that's really what you're supposed to do in those places. But you find it on the highway, on the way there, on the way, or you find it in the parking lot. Then, yeah.
When the owner of an article does not know of its loss, he's not considered to have despair of its recovery, even if it does not have a mark by which it can be identified. What is implied? If a person dropped a dinar and did not realize that he dropped it, he is not considered to have despair of its recovery until he becomes aware that he dropped it. Even though he will certainly despair of its recovery when he realizes that he dropped it, he is forbidden to take the article until that time.
Yir Shalom Midas, Ein Yir.
No, I feel bad. It's going over here from 5 towns.
Moreover, if an owner is unaware the article was dropped, even though he is aware of its absence, but thinks, maybe I gave it to so-and-so, placed it in a cabinet, and made a mistake in my accounts, or the like, he is not considered to have the spirit of the article's return. Lachavav. When a person sees a colleague drop a dinar on the ground without being aware of it and takes the dinar because his colleague despairs of its recovery, he transgresses a positive mitzvah aseh and two lights aseh, as we have explained. Even if he returns the dinar to his colleague after the latter has despaired of its recovery, the return of the money is not significant. It is as if he's giving him a present, and he is considered to have already violated the transgressions.
It's like different diseases and it's like the hormones and they're going to be a test. Yeah. They don't just use it.
It's an important footnote here because I was wondering, like, how would we know? So if the halacha is yish midas lo have a yish, how do we know if someone discovered that they lost something, right? So how do I know if the owner of the AirPods knows that it fell out of his car? Yeah, you know, and like he knows, oh, I was in the parking lot of Six Flags 2 hours ago. So it says here in Psak Din that we assume that the person checks his pockets and knows of his loss. But if you know that he doesn't know yet that he lost it, that's when it's lo have a yish, even though he might eventually, he will certainly eventually be mad.
He's coming to the school, okay?
Because he was going to prison.
No, that's not going to talk to his parents. That's remind him of the conversation with the parents. It's not going to remind him. You don't understand.
Well, okay, Zion, close if the finder takes the dinar, not the dinner, but dinar, before the owner despairs of its return with the intent of returning it, and after the owner despairs, then the guy decides to keep it, then he's only over on not doing the positive commandment, which is to return it. If he waits and does not notify the owners, but doesn't take it until the owners become aware and then they're miyayish, and then takes it, he transgresses only the commandment, you may not ignore it. And the same applies in all similar situations. A person who sees a selah or another coin drop from even 3 people. I'm going to read the footnote 7. What does it mean, even 3 people? In other words, certainly if the coin dropped from fewer than 3, from 1 person or maybe 2 people, finder would be obligated to return it. Even if it dropped from 3, he's obligated to do so. Right? So he sees a coin drop from a group of 3 people, even when there isn't a pruta's worth for each of them. He is obligated to return it. The reason is that they might all be partners in business, and one may have been willing to forego his share in favor of a colleague. Thus, that person has a share in the lost article worth more than a pruta.
And test: when a person sees a dinar fall from a colleague into sand or into dust and escape the colleague's vision, it's as if he fell into the sea or into a river and it belongs to the finder. For the owner despairs of its recovery since it does not have a mark by which it can be identified. Even if he saw the original owner bring a sifter to search for the lost dinar, the owner is considered to have given up hope. He is searching out of wishful thinking, as with other seekers who search in the dust, although they have not lost anything, in the hope that they will find what someone else has lost. The owner is searching in such a manner, it's not that he has despaired of the recovery of his money.
That's not the way to go on shidduchim, right? As if we're sifting through the sand, like maybe I'll find, the idea to find it, to search for like a lost object means you don't give up. Following rules apply when a person finds a seller in the marketplace. The colleague finds him and tells him it is mine. It is new, it comes from this in this country, and it was issued by this and this king. Indeed, even if he says my name was written on it, his words are of no consequence, and the finder is not obligated to return it. The rationale is that marks on a coin are not accepted as a siman, because we can assume that a coin will be used for spending. So just because I wrote on a coin something, still, I might go buy a gumball from a gumball machine, and then, Thus, we can say that it was his, but he spent it and it fell from the possession of another person. Since the marks on a coin are not relied upon as means of identification, as soon as a person realizes that a coin has fallen, he is miyayish. Therefore, it becomes the property of the finder.
Yud Aleph. When a person finds an article that does not possess a mark by which it can be identified, next to an article that possesses such a mark, the finder is obligated to announce the discovery of both articles. If the owner of the article which possesses a mark by which it can be identified comes and takes its article and says that he lost only this article, the finder acquires the article lacking the mark by which it can be identified. Good base?
I totally spaced out, sorry. No, okay.
The following laws apply when a person finds an earthenware kli chayrus, an earthenware utensil, or any other type of keli that is made in a standard manner. If new utensils are found, they are acquired by the finder, for they are like a dinar, and there is no difference between one dinar and another, and thus there is no way of identifying them. Similarly, the owner cannot identify these earthenware utensils. He does not know whether this jar or this vial is his or if it belongs to someone else. If, however, the earthenware utensils have been in the owner's possession when the certain period and have become familiar to his eye, the finder is obligated to announce their discovery. For a Talmud Chacham, a Torah scholar will come and say, although I cannot identify this mark, this utensil with a simon, I can recognize it as my own. The owner is obligated to show it to him. If the scholar claims to recognize it and says, I belongs to him, it should be returned to him.
Yeah, I asked you if I 2 little rings. I didn't say anything. I need to answer this graphic one. How many? I got a free picture in space. No more programming machine. Take a picture in space, right? Yeah. I got a free one.
When does the above apply? Like what kind of Torah scholar are we talking about? It's a refined sage who does not tell any falsehoods except to promote peace, which doesn't even mean to say falsehoods. It means that he doesn't say the full truth, which typically in the laws of speaking, you're not allowed to not say the full truth. You need to say the truth. But what we mean here is that a falsehood for the sake of peace means holding back certain information for the sake of peace. Or with regard to the Masechta that he is studying, which they're also allowed to do, this way they don't get quizzed by people or bothered by people. The bed that he slept on, he's allowed to say that he didn't sleep in a certain bed or that he whatever, or the house in which he stays. Those are the things that he's allowed to bend the truth for. Oh, what do we mean? Okay, we're about to find out. What does it mean that he's allowed to bend the truth for those things? If he was studying Masechtas Nida, and he said he's studying Masechtas Mikvos, so that he wouldn't be asked about Nida laws, right? He doesn't want to start getting interrogated by people. He slept in one bed, but said that he slept in another because he's worried that maybe someone will see that there's signs of seminal emission in that bed, and that's embarrassing. He stayed. It's also like kind of unbecoming for a Torah scholar. He stayed at Reuven's home. It said that he stayed at Shimon so that other people don't go in trouble. Reuven. He made peace between two people and added and subtracted from the statements each one of them made to heighten their feelings of closeness. Right? That's what it means to sake of peace. Such deceptions are permitted.
So you growing up, like how
if, however, witnesses came and testified that he made other false statements, then there is no obligation to return an article that he claims to have recognized. The only way to be obligated to return it is if a person comes to you with a siman and says specific siman. Go for it.
Whenever a person finds an article that appears to have been intentionally placed down, it is forbidden for him to touch it. This applies whether or not it has a mark by which it can be identified. The rationale is that perhaps the owner of the article left it there until he returns. Thus, if the finder takes it, he will have ill-treated the owner. If the article does not have a mark by which it can be identified, he has purposely caused his colleague financial loss, for the article does not have a mark that will enable it. To be identified and returned. Even if it has a mark, he has wronged him, for he has troubled him to search for the article and identify by its marks. Therefore, it's forbidden for the finder to touch it unless it appears to have fallen. Even if the finder is in doubt and does not know whether the article was lost or placed down, he should not touch it. If he should stress and touch it, it's forbidden to return it to its place. If it is an article that does not have a mark by which it can be identified, the finder acquires it. He is not obligated to return it.
Wow.
Whenever a person takes an article that can be identified with a mark, whether originally it has been placed down or has dropped, whether a Rishus HaYachid or Rishus HaRabim is obligated to announce its discovery. What is meant by an article that appears to have been intentionally placed down? If a person finds a donkey or a cow pasturing in the road during the day, or he finds a keli buried in a garbage heap, he should not touch them, for it says in the Devarim, the passage that commands the return of a lost object speaks of an ox or a sheep going astray in the way. However, he found a donkey with its gear overturned, a cow running through the vineyards, or a utensil lying openly in the garbage heap, it is considered a lost article. It should be taken and its discovery announced.
I'm just thinking, it's funny because I always see these signs for AirPods in 770. Lost AirPods, lost this, lost that. Sometimes it's a watch, sometimes it's a cell phone, whatever. But it's so silly because 770 I think is like a pretty classic place. It's a classic example of a place where like just because you see AirPods on a table and there's no one there right now, like someone knows that they're right there. Like someone was just learning, he went to get a different safer, one of them is probably in his ear with him, you know, like, and then someone's like, oh, and then he goes and announces it, and the poor guy needs to go and search for it now. You know? Anyhow, Gimel, if one sees a donkey or a cow pasturing in an ordinary place and manner at night, the animal is considered lost, because typically they don't have free pasture at nighttime. If you saw the animal pasturing at twilight or at dawn for 3 consecutive days, that's like times, I guess, that maybe it still would be free, but if it was for 3 consecutive days, then it's considered lost, it should be taken, and its discovery announced. Following laws apply when a person sees a cow running down a road. First thing you do is take out your phone and take some videos, send it to your friends, be like, whoa, look at this. Kidding. If it's facing the city, it's not considered a lost article. If it's not facing the city, it is considered a lost article. Yeah, I guess. If a person finds a cow pasturing among the vineyards, he is obligated to return the animal to its owner because of the damage that will be done to the property. Like cows don't belong in fine land like a vineyard. Therefore, if the vineyards belong to a Gentile, the animal is not considered lost, and there is no obligation to return it. I guess because there's no obligation to protect that vineyard. I don't know, or maybe there's a custom. Well, actually, it doesn't say. Why does it translate it as Gentile? It says Eved Kechavim. Oh, it's probably still means Gentile. Animal is not considered a loss, and there's no obligation to return it. If he suspects that perhaps the Gentile will kill the animal when he finds it because it spoiled his vineyard, then it is considered a lost article, and it should be taken and its discovery announced. Okay. Hey.
The following rules apply if a person finds a cow in a Shus Harabim. If it's found beyond the Tchum Shabbos of the city, he is obligated to return it. If it was pasturing in the grass or located in a barn, it is neither a totally secure place nor one from where it will definitely flee. The finder should not touch it. This is not a lost article. If he found a garment or an axe at the side of a wall, he should not touch them. If he found them in a thoroughfare, he should take them and announce their discovery. The same applies in all similar instances. Vav, a person finds young doves, whose wings are tied together and they are hopping behind a stone fence or wooden fence or in a lane in the field. He should not touch them since it's possible that the owner left them there. If, however, he takes them, they become his property. If they were found tied with a unique knot that can serve as a mark of identification, the finder, I'm aware. The finder is obligated to announce their discovery. Similarly, if he found them located in a fixed place, he is obligated to announce their discovery for the place where the object is discovered can serve as semanish.
You didn't even see the details from 1,000 miles away. Don't even see it with your eyes. I'll show you. You mean like machine eyes?
What's a band?
You know machine eyes, bro.
A barn, maybe? I mean,
You don't see me calling you a few times.
I didn't. So you called me once.
Why did you pick up?
Because I'm with a chabrusa.
I might have been urgent, right? I don't call you stammer.
Then text.
No.
Go upstairs with your chabrusa now. This is the way you talk to me. This is the recheretz.
What's not that?
If I
don't know if
maybe
it's
something
urgent if you
interesting,
didn't tell
it
me.
may be something important. So you pick up a second. What's
Okay,
the
I'm
conversation
sorry.
before your chabrusa?
Because NASA only has technology.
You seem
Third
like
time. It's the third time.
third time what?
Nothing. Don't fix with it. That's all.
Okay.
What okay?
I'm gonna say okay because I'm not gonna argue with you. I don't think it's chutzpah.
If I'm calling you 3 times, you could pick up for a
I
second.
didn't see that you called me 3 times.
I called you once, right? And you knew it was me. So obviously, it was something important. No?
No.
No.
He's also important. I was already late to this.
Huh?
Whatever.
Okay, take your couple of those upstairs.
Sure, I'll see you.
Mama, it's every time with you. Always.
Is everything okay?
No, everything's okay. Just you're very
Okay,
close to
sure.
me. Every time you're very close to me. I don't know.
I can't tell if you're joking or not. But
I'm not joking. I'm
it
being very
looks like
serious.
you're serious.
I am. You have no.
Fun. I'm just gonna make a protein shake really quickly, and I'll be upstairs.
Expect the guy to have a little more my style. That's all.
I wasn't looking at the structure. This is something like space. The space is past the color, right? They use the stars. Yeah, that's when it's nighttime. So it's night, when it's dark. You know why?
It's not open? Benny, it's not open? Oh. Yeah. This is like not the way to do this.
No, it's not the first time. You know, it's not the second time. And that's it.
Really, I would love to sit with you
You have to sit with me.
and bring about whatever's going on. I don't know like why you're so upset.
It happened
But
a few times already. But I say to you something, you always have to Sorry, doesn't work that way.
I'm just mixing it up. It's a little difficult because it's like powdery, but I'm ready. שכיה? כל אחד אני משקר. They have a class here?
Can you start with the volume? Why? Because the surface area is going to be a little bit.
I don't think we could learn here because they're in the middle of class.
Okay. How do we get along?
Well, first I turned up the area up, that's right. Which is
Move that first, Steve-O.
area up is 10 pi.
Whatever, bro.
Which area figured out is
I don't know what he's so upset about.
I understand this reading.
That what?
times that by
Okay, I'll shut this. That was a fun show.
Use the bathroom for a minute.